Hello everybody and welcome to Change Daily Model. Today is day 35. I'm making a barrel, and this day took me 3 days to make, with almost 6 hours of footage, so I'm not going to edit it because that's too much time. I'm just going to speed it up and try to explain as much as I can. I started off by re-importing some of the models that I had left over. I want to finally get re-importing all of the models from the tragic loss of losing my Unity project, and just get it done with so I can focus on the future models. So I spent about an hour and a half to finish this up. But it turns out I'm going to have to redo a lot of the textures either way because I changed up a bit of the shader because the packing wasn't working too well as it was now, so I separated them. More on that later in the video. Here I decided to make a cave-like duplicate that doesn't have the emission material on it so that I could have some emissive and non-emissive. Once I was done with that, I started to make the barrel. First things first, you gotta do the research, check all the dimensions, and then make the general shape based on the dimensions you find, because if you don't do that, it won't look good. At least not the scale. The scale will be incorrect. Then I made some rims for the metallic pieces that hold all the wood together. Next, I unwrapped the mesh so I can later apply all the textures properly and bake it all together. Then I was thinking what to do with the texture, so I tried to make a procedural approach, but I didn't really like how that would work out. It would be too perfect. So I decided to try to make the details myself by painting it or sculpting it and then baking the textures to it. But once I baked it, and well, before I even baked it, I just took a look at it and I really did not like how the sculpt was turning out. So I had to scratch that out. I mean, like this, something about this just didn't really click with me. So I tried to just use a texture that I found online, wooden texture, and I kind of liked how the bump map looked because, well, it is wood planks, so it would look correct. I then applied all of the materials, as in the RGB, painting it so I can get the general color of it. This part is arguably one of my favorite parts because it's just really relaxing. You just paint over it and it just comes together real time, really fast, real nice. I then had to generate all of the other maps, the metallic map, the ambient occlusion map. Well, actually the ambient occlusion map isn't here quite yet, but the metallic roughness and the normal map, baking it all into it. And texture packing them, of course. Making the lid, going around just making some minor adjustments, and also making the lower LOD model for a more optimized mesh. I then imported into Unity with the packed textures. Tried to apply the normal map, but this is where I ran into a problem. The normal map wasn't really looking too well. It looked kind of inverted. Some parts of the lighting wasn't reacting how it was supposed to be. There were a lot of problems with this, but I fixed it by just not packing my normal channels and using all of them. But either way, I didn't like the end result. It looked too realistic and I strayed too far from my original style I want to go for. So I decided to remake the model by adding some more detail from the beginning and sculpting in my basic and nice looking details. I don't want realistic details, I want stylized details, which was the problem that I had with the previous barrels. That was realistic, and I'm not going for a realistic feel here. I'm going more for like a cartoonish kind of simple style. So I went around painting it, doing some tests on baking it, seeing how it looks. I also spent quite a long time trying to figure out how to properly bake the details onto a lower poly mesh. Main thing you want to focus on is using a cage mesh so you get proper results. This barrel model took me about 5 hours to make, but without any of the remaking and any of the trying to figure out how the fuck this works, it would probably take me an hour or an hour and a half, so I think this workflow is a good enough workflow to make my daily models without compromising too much on quality, because I want high quality models, but also a lot of them. So here I was baking the rest of the maps, still trying to figure out how exactly to bake them. I decided I have to bake them separately, the rim and the body, because there were some problems where the normal from the rim was going onto the body, and that wasn't really looking too well. So I had to separate them all. A lot of finagling here because I didn't know exactly how to bake it. Now I know, so the next barrel I'll make, well, rather the next model, will go way faster because I know exactly how it's supposed to, how the end result is supposed to look, so I could make it all going towards there. Anyway, so here I was making the bottom and the top part. My plan is to have the bottom part in there so it can't move, but the top part you can take it off, like the lid, and then later I could also put some hay in it or any objects, and I could have multiple variations of the single model, and that would be fairly easy to do. thanks to just the movable top lid. And here I went back to texture painting it, my favorite process. Very easy, nothing complicated, nothing technical about it, you just paint. And it is very relaxing, and the best part about it. Here I was packing all of the textures while making sure it was all correct, and then making a lower LED model. And then import it into Unity, and then here I had to change up my shader method. I'm no longer using 2 packed textures, but I'm using 3 textures, with 2 of them being packed. Anyway, this is the final model. Hope you enjoyed. That was a 3-day long day 35. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.